Like I'm so short.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stan Fleming, and on behalf of the University Place City Council, I'm calling this regular meeting of the University Place City Council to session. This is for Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. If the clerk would please call the roll.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Councilmember Figueroa.
Present.
Councilmember Boykin.
I'm here.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Here.
Councilmember Wood.
Present.
Councilmember Grassi.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey.
I'm here.
And Mayor Fleming.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's move to item number 3. Councilmember Grassi, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance
Yes,
tonight?
Mayor, would you please stand, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those who are here in the chamber tonight, welcome. For those who are listening, we're happy that you're able to join us. We're going to move to item number 4, which is the approval of the agenda. I'm going to call for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Are there any objections to approve the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Let's move to item number 5, our presentations. Tonight we have 2 very significant proclamations to present. The first one is the Black History Month proclamation. The recipient tonight is Dr. Ethelda Burke from the University Place School District and board member. If you would please come join us here, and presenting the proclamation will be Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And if I could, please, I'd like to first begin by sharing some information that I believe will introduce Dr. Ethelda Burke to some, reintroduce her to others. It is truly my honor to introduce Miss Ethelda Burke, Dr. Ethelda Burke. Miss Burke made University Place her home more than 53 years ago, before the city was officially incorporated. She built her home on property that was still governed by a restrictive covenant prohibiting ownership by people of color. Despite purchasing the property while this discriminatory policy was in effect, Ms. Ethelda Burke moved forward with determination and contracted with one of the few black contractors in Pierce County at the time, Mr. Al Body, to build the home where she has proudly resided for more than 5 decades. Ms. Burke has taken great joy in watching both the city of University Place and the school district grow and thrive. Her 2 daughters graduated from Curtis High School in the 1980s, at a time when fewer than a half a dozen students of color graduated each year. Today, she is proud to be part of a city that has experienced steady economic growth, whose schools consistently outperform most districts in the state academically, and that has evolved into a community rich in economic, racial, ethnic, and religious diversity. Following her retirement, Ms. Ethelda was honored to be elected by the citizens of University Place to serve on the University Place School District Board of Directors. With a distinguished career in education, she also made history as the first woman in Pierce County in the 20th century to be appointed as a school principal. Ms. Burke, your journey is a testament to the growth of our community. It is truly an honor to know you, and I'm grateful for everything you represent. As I present this proclamation on behalf of Black History Month, and history being made even as I speak, with the wonderful accomplishments and contributions that you've made to our city, please let me share this proclamation with all. City of University Place Proclamation. Thank you, but make no mistake, you are always worth waiting on. Whereas Black History Month celebrates the achievements and contributions that African Americans have made in shaping our country. And whereas this observance affords a special opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of African American history and acknowledge the centuries of struggles for equality and freedom. And whereas such knowledge can strengthen the insight of all our citizens regarding the issues of human rights, the great strides that have been made in the crusade to eliminate the barriers of equality for minority groups, and the continuing struggle against racial discrimination. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place do hereby proclaim the month of February 2026 is Black History Month in University Place, and urge our residents to continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, equitable, and prosperous for all, proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, on February 17th, 2026, where Stan Fleming, is mayor, and our city clerk, Emelita Janisha, is signed as well. I am thrilled, and again, I couldn't be more happy, more proud of what it is to actually have someone that has paved the way and continues to make history every day she gives.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. May I just say a couple of things? First of all, I'd like to thank all of the members of the City Council and all of the citizens of University Place who just passed one of the largest bond and levies that the University Place School District has ever placed. We so appreciate that, and I do, because I want kids to do wonderful things forever and ever, and you have just allowed UP to start that journey. Then I'd like to make a couple of corrections. I'm a dropout. I was in a doctoral program that allowed me to get my superintendent's credentials. I was having my first grandbaby, and I was going to all those Friday night games, and I said, you know what, can I just put my doctoral on delay for a while? I never went back. I did become a superintendent. But I don't have any regrets about that. But I don't want people in the community to think I'm saying I'm something I'm not. And that's not a doctor right now, okay? There was one other correction. What was it? Oh, I know. The history. I was the first female high school principal in Pierce County, not the first principal. But it's been a wonderful career for me. I've met and worked with some wonderful people. And I feel so blessed to have been able to live in a community where people grew. The redlining went out. People live wherever they want to in University Place. There are so many races, cultures, and religions in this community that I'm just proud to come to my home every day. And I've already told the undertakers I'll be right there in that house. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, and we've got to get photos. We've got to get photos. Oh, absolutely. So tell me exactly how you want me to take this photo. Okay.
Perfect. 3, 2, 1. This side. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Can I say one last thing?
No, please.
My journey was on the backs of the NAACP, as you know, and I thought it was important to bring the president of the NAACP here when I received this proclamation this evening. He is the youngest NAACP president in the entire United States. His mother was a student of mine when I was principal at Foss. So I welcome Orlando Redeemer. Thank you.
Orlando Redeemer, would you stand, please? Thank you also for your service, how you lead, and congratulations on being the youngest president of the NAACP. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I'm always getting directions from those that are so much better looking and smarter than I am. Council?
I'm going to simply say, number one, Ms. Burke, from this doctor to you, you're a doctor to all of us in our hearts, so thank you so much, for all that you've done for our community and the contributions, for being that pioneer, for spearheading. We are so blessed, I guess is the best word we can come up with, to have you with us. So thank you. I don't know if any other council members want to offer anything before we move on. Yes.
Thank you for stepping up and having the courage and also the bravery and the perseverance to overcome all your barriers to succeed. And it allows a pathway for others to follow more easily, steadily, and make more progress. So appreciate you.
Thank you. Okay, our next proclamation this evening is in recognition of the American Red Cross Month. Receiving tonight is going to be Shannon Glenn, the new, I understand, Executive Director of the South Puget Sound and Olympics Chapter, and Mr. Larry Bleish, the Community Volunteer Leader for Elected Officials Liaison. And presenting the proclamation tonight is Councilmember Figueroa. Thank you.
Larry, you want to come up here? Good to see you. So I don't have to take, you don't have to take any blood from me tonight, right?
Yeah, you're willing.
Okay, no. So tonight is about the American Red Cross. Many of you are familiar with this institution, and for the heavy lifting, the heavy work that they do every single day, every single moment, all year round. This is a proclamation from the City of University Place. Whereas, for more than a century, the American Red Cross has been at the forefront of helping Americans prevent, prepare for, and respond to large and small disasters. Families and communities depend on the Red Cross in times of need, and the Red Cross depends on the American people to sustain the foundation. And whereas in University Place, the American Red Cross works tirelessly through the volunteers to support us when disaster strikes, when someone needs life-saving blood, or the comfort of a helping hand. It provides 24-hour support to members of the military and veterans and their families, and provides training in CPR, aquatics safety, and first aid. And whereas the American Red Cross makes University Place safer and stronger, and University Place formally recognizes the American Red Cross and its critical humanitarian role in our community, and honors the South Puget Sound and Olympics chapter's contribution to making the city a better place. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place do hereby proclaim March 2026 as Red Cross Month, and encourage all citizens of University Place to observe this month with relevant programs, ceremonies, and activities to support the work of service of the American Red Cross, proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, on February 17, 2026. Shannon, you have 2 seconds to say that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor and Council. And thank you, everybody, for the warm welcome to the community. I'll just mention a few things about the Red Cross that you likely already know. We're around 90% volunteer powered. So people that are showing up in the community are people from your community, which is really exciting. And since we just had the Black History Month proclamation, 1 in 3 donors that are in the Black community are eligible to donate to a sickle cell patient. So that's an initiative that we've been working pretty closely with. Last year, about 223,000 hours of volunteer hours were logged in our community, which is about 110 full-time staff, and those are all people giving up their weekends, holidays, and so we're really grateful to be here, and thank you so much, Council and Mayor.
Say one word real quick.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, adding on to what Shannon just said, we have a very important blood drive coming up 1 month from today on St. Patrick's Day, which is the Battle of the Badges, Chief Sharp. So we hope you will sign up, and it happens to be on St. Patrick's Day, so we invite you all to come. We're having a serious blood shortage. Oh, and there's our other chief. Thank you. You will sign up as well, I'm sure, Chief Burke. Okay. But we invite the public to come as well. There's a serious shortage of blood as we speak, so we need everybody to contribute since we supply 40% of all the blood throughout the country. So thank you. We hope to see you all there, and thank you so much for this proclamation.
Thank you both.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you. You know, these proclamations are just one of the highlights of the council meeting, and it's just always a thrill to have that. I'd like to move now, if we may, to item number 6, which is public comment. Now, in the public comment portion of the agenda, this is an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments to the City Council about any items that are not appearing on the agenda or on the consent agenda. You know, for those who are joining us online, the instructions on how to participate are shown on the screen. I understand we do not have any public comment here in the chamber tonight. Do we have any public comments from those joining us remotely?
I don't see anyone online, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that, then, we will close public comments and we will move to item 7A, the consent agenda. I'd like to call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as noted in the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any objections to approving the consent agenda? Okay. Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. Let's move to item number 8, the city manager and council comments and reports. If we may begin with our city manager.
Mayor and Council, City Manager Steve Sugg. In 2024, the Puget Sound Regional Council undertook a process to recertify the 30 regional growth centers in the Puget Sound. We're one of those 30 regional growth centers, as you well know, and have been for some time. And that recertification process was not easy. We had to prepare materials, and they did a lot of digging to find out what we had done to keep our certification active and current with the policies of the Puget Sound Regional Council. And I'm pleased to tell you that the Puget Sound Regional Council's staff is recommending to the board that the University Place Regional Growth Center get recertified with no changes. So the work, they specifically noted that the work that the council had done on zoning changes and our regional growth sub-area plans, which the council studied and approved along with the 3 districts, sub-area districts, Northeast District, the Business District, the 27th Business District, and soon the Town Center District. The work that's been done on that, the combination of all three was key for demonstrating our commitment to the principles of regional growth centers. So not all regional growth centers are getting recertified, by the way. So just wanted to make that point at this point. There's some more work to be done. I'm sure they'll get there, but there's 30, and ours is going to sail through to the board for approval, and that process will probably happen sometime in early April. So that lines us up for recertification to keep transportation dollars coming our way. So with that report, I'll end my comments today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions briefly for City Manager regarding that? Councilmember Figueroa?
Thank you, Mayor. It's just real quick. You don't have to answer now, Mr. Sugg, but maybe via an email or whatever, and that is a report of if any jurisdictions in Pierce County that will not be getting recertified. If you can answer that now, great. If not,
no, we don't have any indication of who would of which ones are getting certified and which not. There's a few. It's not, the majority are going to get recertification,
yeah, but you're saying
there are a few within the Puget Sound. So I'll just leave it like that.
Puget Sound, not necessarily Pierce County.
No, this is the whole Puget Sound. The
okay.
4 counties that comprise the Puget Sound Regional Council.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilmember Grassi? Okay. Seeing that we're done there, let's go through council comments. We're going to start tonight down at my far left, Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor. Is my microphone working?
Not really.
No.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me? Thank you. Super great.
There you go.
Let me first start off by doing 2 things. I want to absolutely echo Mr. Thelda Burke's comment about the wonderful way in which our residents and citizens demonstrated that one of the most impactful assets we have is our children, and that being demonstrated with the successful funding of the levy as well as the bond. And so that was extremely appreciated. So I wanted to make sure that I also echo my appreciation for that. Let me also move to the different spectrum. It's important to me to recognize an individual that had national impact, international impact, that was not just a friend, but literally changed history. And that is Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., who passed away. And what is befitting for me is, as we honor Black History Month, that his contributions not only, as I alluded to, changed the world globally, but what he did in terms of role model impact for groups, organizations, as well as people, I think will stand the test of time. Regarding activities that I wanted to make sure I called out, the Seahawks, I'm understanding, did something pretty phenomenal as well. In that regard, having had a chance to engage in that atmosphere, I'm going to just selfishly say that was one of the most wonderful events that I had with my wife, who made it a point to insist that we would be part of the folks that were congratulatory in that audience. Also wanted to acknowledge the impact of the acknowledgments from NLC, the appointment both for Small Cities Council as well as for the Transportation and Policy Development boards. Those kicked off in early February, February 4th and 6th, And that was an opportunity for us to see how it is that we would not only grow from the contributions that each of the public officials around the country will make in NLC in those respective committees, but it gave us a chance to begin to carve out how we thought the City of University Place can impact our contributions to that particular council. I have the pleasure of serving in that capacity with Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey, and so looking forward to what that means for the City of University Place one more time. And then lastly, I just want to affirm how great it was to have an opportunity to engage in a wonderful idea with a wonderful activity in mind to help undergird businesses in the City of University Place and spotlight and highlight them during the Super Bowl Historia. That was 100% done by Councilmember Grassi, who had the good insight to recognize that if you provide opportunities for people to be elevated past some pleasantries, you can actually impact potential profit. And so businesses seemed to rally around the idea, welcomed our opportunity to engage, and just as importantly, gave us a chance to affirm some really impressive opportunities inside of our city when it comes to our business impact, our business contributions, as well as the audience that would be served if, in fact, people began to lean into those particular services and products. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much, as always, for the opportunity to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Cunningham.
Well, first I'm going to just start off with the fact that I think winter's here. So you should put your coat on because it's very cold, and I think that the weather is changing quick. So I will just start with that. Thank goodness that I feel like, you know, we've had a little sunshine, but I think it's going to snow or something. But it's been a cool week. It's been a great week. Again, I continue to be excited and inspired by my Councilmember Grassi and her steadfast initiatives around these small businesses around here. So it's been fun to, you know, support her in those areas and be able to be at these events that are so meaningful to our city. So we kicked off the week at Northwest Medical Arts Random Act of Kindness, and it was great to be there with Mayor and then Councilmember Grassi, and just you know, watch the relationship building that's already existing that we just get to follow suit and get into and support. So we got to meet Shanti, or I got to meet her. Everybody else already knew her. But it was great to see what kind of businesses that I don't know about that are in our city. So it's been great to just sort of follow the lead and learn and meet new people and be able to just champion them through the work that they're already doing and do whatever we can to support them and lift them up and, you know, show that gratitude. And again, they were showing gratitude to us, but we're always there to continue to show them gratitude and love and support. So that was really fun to get to meet them and some other business owners in that space. And of course, Random Acts of Kindness can happen anytime, and it doesn't have to be this month. It could be every day, so I think we should lean into that. Another thing that we got to do that I don't know that the city is aware of, but we have a really long-standing business out here, India Mahal. They've been around since October of 1996 in our city. In fact, they were just downstairs when they started, and now they're over on the cusp of 19th. Well, they had a really bad incident that happened to them last week. And it's important that, you know, during the good times with Northwest Medical Arts and businesses that are doing well and thriving, there's some businesses that are suffering right now and that are having some hard times on them. And so Mayor Pro Tem and I got to pay a visit to the owner and say hello and make sure that we expressed our gratitude of the things that they need from us during hard times, not just good times. And I think that it's important that we make sure that we check in, not always when things are good or not always when it's a ribbon cutting and not always when, you know, they're just opening up, but when they are down on their luck. And there was a dangerous incident that happened to them last week, and the owner was injured, and their business is now probably suffering a little bit, because when we went in there at lunchtime, there was not a soul in there except for you and I. And I think that that's something to note. So I think that they're still here. They're giving us all that they've got, so we've got to continue to remember to give them all that we've got. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever been there to frequent for dining, but I think it's important that we make sure that we support them when they're down on their luck just as much as when they're up on their luck. So it was nice to be able to know that they felt like we were there to support them and that we were aware, and people have stopped by and people have said things to them. But I think that it's notable because they could be in any city for the last almost 30 years, but they're here in our city. So the least that we can do is make sure that they're supported and they feel that, even when times are hard. So just want to note that. And then the last thing that I want to mention is that, as we continue to, I'm new to the council and I'm putting on lots of things in my profession all the time, and I see all the things that we get to do as a community, and there's a lot of great activities that we get to have here. I don't know if you guys remember that we just had a 30th birthday. We have Duck Days every single year. We have the tree lighting every year. We have Oktoberfest. We have a lot of great events, and I know that my council colleagues, mainly Grassi, really wants a lot of other things to come here all the time. And so I'm excited to partner with her on that. And so the first thing that we're looking at putting on is an Easter egg hunt for our city. And we're looking at doing the biggest one that we can pull off in our first year of pulling it off. But nonetheless, we're going to bring something here at the end of March to kick off Easter, because we don't have a spring event that's notable like we used to. So I'm excited to partner with my colleagues and help support to figure out how we can build those partnerships up so that we can have more of an amazing summer like we just had with all of these fantastic events. So I'm looking forward to partnerships and relationships, and I hope that, as we continue to bring new energy to the council, that there's new opportunities that are felt down the ballot so that all of us are bringing things that benefit our community and our kids in our community. So we're excited for what that's going to look like. More to come, of course, as we start to promote the event, but I'm excited for what we know that we can bring to our community, because we deserve it and you all deserve it, and there's great things to come, and I'm excited to put my 2 cents in there. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. I know that we stopped short of coming back to council for a consideration for the Arts and Culture Commission, as well as the council travel policy, and I look forward to seeing that hopefully in the next meeting. If not, I'd like to know why his name is not coming back up, and to finish the business, or at least continuing to study it. So that's my only comments. Thank you.
Appreciate those comments immensely. And just so you'll know, the Mayor Pro Tem and I had a conversation with the city manager today. We're looking forward to scheduling both of those, making that happen. Councilmember Wood.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Just a few comments today. First, for city staff, I've already talked to a couple of you about this, but I've gotten a few phone calls in the last couple of weeks from residents concerned about 27th Street. One resident was particularly concerned about speeding going up and down the road, and how difficult it was to make a turn because people are traveling too fast. And specifically, a left turn onto that road can be challenging sometimes. And then another citizen had some concerns that I've sent an email about some safety issues there. One was a kind of a blind corner where they have to turn. Another one was this concrete culvert that they felt was a hazard, and there was nothing to prevent somebody from falling into it. So anyway, just a couple of concerns, and I just wanted to get those out and open to be addressed. Second one is that with the Mayor Pro Tem, I was in a meeting with the American Federation, or Americans for the Arts, just talking briefly about, again, arts and culture and how we can incorporate that type of support into our community. And they were very excited to hear, of course, about our ongoing work on an Arts and Culture Commission, and also the Up for Arts and other organizations that we have. And they think that that might be a very good, it'll help them find ways to support us as well, which I think is a value added for our community. And then since one of my colleagues was just talking about activities in this community, I'm going to start my pitch right now. I just signed up for the Twisted Cider 5K. Sign-ups are open. And this year, I believe it's not just a race, but they are also fundraising for a local organization. They're actually fundraising for the Humane Society. So if you love your kitties and puppies, get out there and walk, run, do whatever it is you're going to do. Thank you, Mayor. That's my comments.
Those are great. Thank you very much. Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Wood, I am inspired for the Twisted Cider Run, only for the pretzel at the end of it. So that will get me to sign up for a walk or run. Give me a pretzel at the end. But I want to thank everyone in Chambers this evening. Thank you for being here. As I've said before, I love seeing participation and having you here. Although many watch online, but it's fun to see faces and get to interact face to face. So thank you. It takes time and effort to come here, and I want to say thank you. We appreciate it so much. Also, to our proclamation earlier this evening to Thelda Burke, I just want to say a personal thank you. She is one of the leaders in our community who believed in me, and I will always be grateful for that and for her leadership. And there are generations of students that have her for her wisdom and her leadership to thank. So it was so wonderful to honor her. Thank you, Councilmember Boykin, for your kind words for her, and that very poignant. And well done, so thank you. I also want to thank my colleagues, Councilmember Boykin, as well for, as he alluded to, our Super Bowl small business highlight. Thank you for being a part of that with me. For my small business highlight this evening, as my colleagues are ad nauseum already of my business initiative, but I want to highlight the ones that were made it possible for us to highlight businesses during the Super Bowl Sunday. And the idea was to just give our residents an opportunity to know what was available by restaurants and different things available for Super Bowl Sunday and highlight those. And I just want to thank the businesses that participated: UP Station, Applebee's, Wana Cupcake, Sapporo, and Salted Rim. This reel that Councilmember Boykin and I did together was viewed over 4,000 times so far, shared over 24 times by businesses that were represented and non-businesses that were represented. So, and also a lot of comments. And I again, continue. Thank you, Councilmember Cunningham, for your kind words, but continue to lobby this council and our city to make small business a focus and our businesses a real focus of time and effort in our community. Last month, there was a study that came out that Washington State ranks last for business survival in the country. And as that is a staggering statistic, I believe in University Place, we have the unique opportunity to be a light and to be one city in the last state in the country that says, no, we want more for our businesses, for our residents, for our communities. When you support a small business, you are supporting college educations, you're supporting summer camp, you're supporting health care for families. So important. And so I really, truly appreciate Councilmember Boykin's effort that he gave that day running around. And there will be more, I assure you, but I just think it's so important. And we have a great opportunity. We may be last right now in the country, but we can only go up from here. So I want to level that up. And so thank you for that. And speaking of, their next event will be International Women's Day is happening on March 8th, and I am co-hosting an event at Swank Boutique with a couple of other female-owned businesses as well in the city, so you'll be hearing more about that. I want to thank Swank for hosting. That'll be exciting to have in our city. And then also just to note our council retreat coming up on Saturday. I'm looking forward to extended time with my colleagues and city staff as we continue to work on our council goals and initiatives for the year going forward. If you haven't been to one of our council retreats, it's open to the public right here in Chambers on Saturday. You can also listen online, but it's a wonderful way for, again, if you want to be engaged and know where we're going in the next year or so with our goals and hear extended dialogue, always welcome, open to the public. So I'm looking forward to that time with you all. It's always a good, fruitful, productive time, and it's important that we do it. So I thank the city staff that's worked hard on putting that agenda together, and to Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem for leading that as well. So thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
I think that's amazing. I'm going to hire you to be my PR person. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey.
All right, thank you. And I bet that video is still live today, so people can view it, right? Yes. Get some more views. That would be important. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for all your passionate hard work and dedication to the city. It's all very inspirational and exciting to hear what has gone on in the past 2 weeks with each and every one of you. I would also welcome the people into our council chambers. Hopefully you are future volunteers. As you can see, we are council members that are very hardworking, but we also need people to support us. So there's always opportunities out there if you want to get energized and and engaged in making your city a better place to live. Americans for the Arts. That was a very interesting meeting. It was the third one, and they are a supportive arm for cities who are interested in creating areas of cultural interest and also cultural planning and also centers for the creatives. However you define creatives, it's a myriad of all sorts of different things and means all sorts of different things to each and every city. We have a lot of the pieces of the puzzles already, but we just need to know how to put them all together. And with the additional few pieces there, we should be on a track, and it'll probably take to fruition about 5 to 10 years to get it fully charged and up and running. But we have to begin somewhere, right? We have to take the first step forward. So at the meeting, we had citizens for our community. We had Councilmember Mr. Ed Wood, Ronaldo and Savannah, representatives of the local Up for Arts. We had Desiree Fagan and Dimple Sadhu, and they are citizens who are just interested. They really don't have an official role, but they're interested in supporting arts and culture and parks in our community. And with all the information that I had gleaned from the meetings with the citizens, I went to Port Townsend last weekend, and I met with their art and culture coordinator. And so I got a lot of insight, connections there that we can bring to the table. And what I'm particularly interested in is what are the steps that we shouldn't take that were missteps? How do we avoid the pitfalls? And how do we glean their successes to move forward so we don't have to learn a lot of things the hard way? And with that, transitioning into Up for Arts, they had a meeting about a week ago, and their next concert is on February 28th at 7 p.m. in our atrium, highlighted with the soprano Soon Chu. And Renato Roland is a world-renowned pianist, and he'll be accompanying her there. So hopefully you can make it. It's Saturday, February 28th, 7 p.m. in our atrium. The Current Apple Orchard is having their next pruning party date. All you need to do is bring gloves and maybe a bottle of water on February 21st, 10 to 1 p.m. at the Current Apple Orchard off of Grandview. I also had a wonderful opportunity to attend Curtis High School Women in Sports meeting. It's about empowering and inspiring current and former and future female athletes. So their objective is to get people to actually come to their games, and it's to grow the women's and the girls' self-esteem throughout their pressures with injuries, failure, and just the other pressures of being an athlete where other people believe they should do other things. So this is a collective group that started 3 years at our Curtis High School by the girls in sports, leading the charge in forming the organization and creating a format. They have designed and implemented a format for the last 3 years. So at this sports meeting, there were 3 other out-of-district schools that came to learn what their format was and how to incorporate that into their schools as well. So that's a huge success. So I was very proud to hear that. I have been, as Councilmember Boykin alluded to, appointed to the Small Cities Council again for the second year. Also, for the first year is the Energy, Environment, and Natural Resource Committee, which I'm really excited to be a part of. I get a notification on a weekly level what's happening on the federal level with all the different policy changes and things that are up and coming at the congressional status level. And so it's quite interesting, all those things that are going around, especially with our natural resources and our energy and the impacts on our environment. I also would like to take an opportunity to acknowledge the passing of Reverend Jackson. He made a big difference in my life as well, following his career from a very young age with President Kennedy, Martin Luther King, all throughout the civil rights activities. They've made a lasting imprint on me. And one of the things that Reverend Jackson noted, if you provide people an equal opportunity, they will excel. So that has been my mantra for such a long time. And when I was coming to this council meeting tonight, he was in an interview and he reflected that quote. So I thought it was apropos that I stated tonight. And I would be really remiss if I didn't say how excited I am that the Seahawks are Super Bowl champions. Woo! And Jason Myers, oh my gosh. You know, I have number 12 jerseys that I had for years. I'm thinking, I'm turning that into a number 5. Give me high five, Jason. He is an amazing kicker. He's the first Filipino kicker in the NFL as well. So, welcome to diversity and what Black History Month means, not only to the Black culture, but to many other cultures as well. Because if we disgrace one population, we disgrace us all. Thank you. Did I take too long?
Yes, we were just debating over here whether we should sanction your time. No, I do want to say to everyone on the dais, thank you so much for your full and undevoted engagement in our community and making it a better place for all of us. I just truly often stand in awe for what you do and how you do it. Before I get into my comments, I have a couple of things. First, I was remiss in not welcoming Chief Sharp to the chamber. Thank you for being with us tonight, Chief. We always love seeing you here with us. Also wanted to, I heard the comment that in Washington State we're last in the country for the survival of small businesses. I'd like to believe University Place is first in the state for supporting small businesses. So that's how I'd like to look at that one. I do want to thank Councilmember Cunningham for highlighting the India Mahal restaurant. It's one of those extremely sad and misfortune experiences where a perpetrator would intentionally destroy a local business for whatever motive he may have had, but certainly want to applaud the citizens that rallied to subdue him and our law enforcement that responded to that. I like to believe that University Place is a family, and to that point, when families have their challenges, we rally around them, And I certainly would like to call on our community to show our support, as Councilmember Cunningham pointed out, in helping that particular business rebuild. And you can do that by just showing up. That's important to do that. With regards to Reverend Jackson, his passing today was really significant. It was monumental. For those of us who grew up in the era of Reverend Jackson, he was a pivotal man in shaping the social justice movement in our nation. And we all know that as individuals, communities, as a nation, we are all better for what he did and what he stood for. And certainly his voice and influence will be missed going forward. A couple of things I'd like to comment on also, and one is I was remiss at the last council meeting for not sharing with you that I did have the opportunity to attend the coffee with cops in the fire department over at McDonald's. It was last month, and it was freezing rain. I mean, it was miserable. And those guys were out there in force, showing their support to the community, and it had a spectacular turnout for what they were doing with the kids, with the families, to the staff at McDonald's. They were just having a great time, and if any council members get an opportunity to ever do that again with them, I really encourage that one. We talked about the Northwest Medical Arts, another local business who really is engaged in University Place, who really supports the initiatives that this city undertakes. In their business, we celebrated the Random Acts of Kindness Week. They are just jazzed with the opportunity to have their business here in UP, and it was great that we had the privilege to go with Councilmember Cunningham and Councilmember Grassi to celebrate that time with them there. That was great. Also, the SHAPE Housing Advisory Executive Committee met this past week. The two key things we discussed there was the appointment for the advisory board and the legislative updates that they had. We also, I had the privilege of attending the Washington State Mayor's Roundtable that was provided by the Association of Washington Cities, and that was just a one-day event down in Olympia where mayors from around the state had a chance to gather, talk about some of the key issues. I did pick up a copy of their hot sheet that was discussed there. I provided a copy to each council member, so you'll have a chance to look at what was discussed there with regards to the bills. They also had a handbook called the Mayor and Council Members Handbook, and I just found it intriguing. And so they had that there for us, and I couldn't help myself, so I took 7 copies of it. So if you have it, great, and if you don't, you now have one here, for each of you. I know you don't have enough to read, so I just thought you would love to lay awake at night reading that as you go to sleep on that one. Lastly, just a reminder, we do have the council retreat this weekend. As was pointed out, a lot of work has gone into putting the agenda. The council will have their packet tomorrow, I believe it is. So you'll have a chance to look at that. We've had the opportunity, the Mayor Pro Tem, myself, to get and receive input from all council members. So you'll see something there for everyone, but not everything for everyone, if that makes any sense. There's just a lot. It's an action-packed agenda and a lot to cover in a very short period of time. So with that said, I don't have anything further to add tonight. I think I've covered everything that was in my agenda. So with that said, let's close the council and city manager's comment and move to and recess at this time, if you will, to study session. And that's item number 9, and that's the Creekside Park Master Plan update. Presenting tonight will be Jack Eklund, our Public Works Director, and he's going to be joined by Chris Overdorf and Juliana Lowley, who's going to be joining us virtually of SCJ Alliance. So with that said, Mr. Eklund, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. As you mentioned, I'm Jack Eklund, Public Works Director, and we're bringing to you tonight our study update of our Creekside Master Plan efforts that we've done to date. With me, as you mentioned, is Chris Overdorf, and then online is Juliana Lowley from SCJ Alliance. And then I'd like to turn things over to Chris to go over where we're at our overview of how we've done things so far to date on the project, where we're at, and then kind of discuss the next steps moving forward.
Thank you. Mayor Fleming and council members, it's a pleasure to be here tonight and to talk about Creekside Park, which is something that, over 6 years ago when we were working with the community on the PROS plan, the Park Rec and Open Space Plan, this was one of the areas that was identified that was underserved in the city, and it was marked out as a potential PROS plan project to update the master plan and begin to look at what the future of what the park could be. And and that started, we pretty much started the process. Parks Appreciation Day, we were spreading bark with a couple of people here and out in Colgate, but really started to use that process to get engaged with the community. And Councilmember Cunningham, you had sort of talked about the quality and the number of people that show up for these events, and you make it really easy. And, because we had engaged on a very sort of robust public process. That's the core of any kind of PROS plan or a park master plan or a park design is in order to set the project up for its success, you really need to, to work with the public to understand what they want, out of this place and make sure that their goals and their quality of life, issues are sort of reflected in the park itself. We had over, almost like 1,200 people that we had sort of talked to over the course of several different, both in-person events, as well as some online events as well. And including and a couple sort of highlights is when we set up a booth at the Movies in the Park out at Cirque, and where I would say 80% of the several hundred that showed up were, from 5 to 12 years old. And so we really got to sort of hear a really wide dispersed, set of ideas about what people wanted for the park. And essentially what came out of the highlights of both the public events was really it was about keeping the spirit, the intrinsic qualities of Creekside Park intact. And not to, even while there's a lot of people who really didn't even know that it was there because of how hard it was to sort of access it, it was, the ones who were out there were really sort of taken aback by, they loved going on walks through there, getting out into the canopy, and really sort of experiencing this as this sort of it's ecology. And there was a bunch of other ideas that were sort of generated, but alongside with the needs and assessment survey, the online survey. Number one, it was sort of improved, visibility and access. And the fact that the city has sort of punched that road through now is opening that up, making it much more easier.
Chris, I don't want to interrupt your presentation, but we do have folks that are here in the chamber watching this, as well as people at home watching. Could you just, for their benefit, tell them the location of Creekside Park? I know many people don't know where that's at or where the proposed site is, and then how much acreage are you looking at there?
Sure. Wish we had the map up. No, it's the roundabout on Cirque Bridgeport. It's right at that on that southeast sort of corner, and it's about 11 acres. That is.
Just real quick. That at least you can see the roundabout and where things are.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, so with Cirque and Alameda Drive and that roundabout, And this is, it's hard to see on that. So no, and so with the new road up on 57th Ave up, that's making that connection, that's making it much more easier to access it from Alameda and Cirque and some of the sidewalks that were there. Yeah, I'll just go back to this.
Sure.
But just some key takeaways. I mean, it was really about sort of, just not just improving the visibility of the park and making sure people know that it's there, but it's also prioritizing what low impact infrastructure. A lot of emphasis on trails, passive activities, natural experiences, because if you get back down into there and you're underneath that, incredible sort of tree canopy, it really is a sort of magical place back there that I think is a really incredible counterpart to some of the other sort of community parks, across University Place, from Current Apple Orchard, which is really about, these events, to, a lot of active recreation going at Cirque. And now we've got this really, really strong, and it's not like, this is what we've been hearing from the public from day one, is this passive ecology park that is really sort of focused on climate resiliency and habitat, and making sure that these sort of wild spaces are preserved. And this is an incredible opportunity to make this happen. I will say, we did identify, going back to the original pros plan, there was discussion about, well, it'd be great if we got a athletic field or something down in the that could fit within that site. And that is something, and we'll show it in a little bit, that is something that we looked at, but everything we were hearing from the public, and then what the Parks Advisory Commission, the advice we were getting from them, was that, to keep the space as wild as possible, more trails, more walking, more opportunities for, birding, habitat, and just being part of that trees. I'm sure, especially when, as the world is sort of heating up, to have this place that you can, this natural, cool sink that you can, cool down underneath the shade is going to become very, important. And obviously incorporating elements like nature play and other kinds of inclusive play environments and interpretive and art and culture was something that we heard, right from the start. And what we took all that information and we started working with the PAC and the public, and started to come up with an idea, several different alternatives for what that master plan could be, each with a different theme. And what tended to be sort of preferred, again, was something that was a lot more passive in nature, less about active recreation. It was more about, just sort of being in nature and creating these opportunities for these moments of discovery and interpretation, and, which that site just sort of naturally affords. And we didn't want to destroy the intrinsic qualities of the place and force something in there, number one, that the public didn't want, or that number two was going to be very cost prohibitive. So on the screen, there's having a parking area and an overlook up top, with some kind of an ADA accessible or accessible sort of route down to the lower bench. For if you don't know, oh yeah, thanks, I appreciate that. There's that's sort of the high point, and then there's this sort of terrace down below that is where we've identified where we've got ADA parking, we've got a turnaround for emergency vehicles, we have an open meadow with some nature play and inclusive play, elements that do have these sort of peak views down into Leech Creek. But then that area with the little asterisks, the number 15s, is like creating a really intricate sort of trail network with a lot of like these hidden moments where people, these little nodes where people can either sit down and reflect, or they can engage with something, or they can capture this, again, this sort of peak view down into the creek itself. And we did this when we also looked at the ecosystem services that the site actually provides. And if we treat this as a passive ecology park that's focused on carbon sequestration, habitat improvement, we can actually, green stormwater, this can really be a critical part of University Place's, continuing evolution of climate infrastructure. And go.
Actually, Chris, let's go back to state just to kind of, just for the folks watching and also just here, kind of describe what we have on the plan. So you'd have, as Chris mentioned, there's an upper parking lot right off the street. There would be an entryway down below. There would be a small parking lot mostly for, ADA parking or folks that need maybe more limited mobility, and probably some limited just other parking as well. But it's a smaller area. One of the challenges, there's this light blue dashed line on the map you can see, and that's the buffer from the wetland areas that you really have to limit what kind of substantial work you can do. Theoretically you could get in there, but that means you're doing a pretty expensive mitigation and at other locations or in here, and it just adds more impact to the wetland. You have down there off of this lower parking lot then a big plaza that also would double as a emergency vehicle turnaround. And has some opportunity for art or a gathering place that you have coming down from the upper parking lot, a pathway that goes down. One thing that's been added in here are they have little asterisks here that talk about possible art opportunities, and Chris can talk, he has a slide later that shows kind of things that they can mean there. But there's opportunities for maybe like a little fun interactive slide elements as you're going down the hill walkways down as well. This right now has stairs. You also could do some we may have to add some ADA ramps too for folks that would want to access some of those features, but this is still fairly schematic. There is a open play area with a like a little stage kind of shelter at one end, a big play area, and Chris will talk a little bit more. Part of it is like a nature play area, and he has a slide that kind of describes that. And then this pink area is more of a kind of a conventional playground, but all of it's pretty big play area. And what Chris and Juliana heard all their public events they went to is, in addition to the trails, is having more opportunities for youth to come and play and interact with things as well. And then, as you can see, as Chris mentioned, there's a big, large trail network, about 3,000 feet of trails with opportunities for different interactive and art type of things, and then also a connection out to our future road extensions so people can also walk from, if you're walking on the sidewalks, you could get down to the trail network from the roadway as well. So that's just kind of a quick overview, but then I can't turn back over to Chris.
No, thank you. And just to touch base really quick on the field. In order to get a decent-sized field, athletic field down there would have required a lot of substantial sort of site grading, which would have had a major impact on some of the tree canopy that's out there. And as Jack was sort of showing, like some of those setbacks really didn't. We were just creating more headaches, and so we just this little blue area is that meadow that was shown on the previous. On the previous plan, like down there, that is, and if we look at the athletic field at Cirque as a model, you can sort of see the size of it, and then the largest sort of field we could sort of fit in there is like sort of a U10 soccer field, which would allow sort of 7-on-7 soccer if needed. But again, what we heard from the public was it was less about the athletic fields, and it was more about keeping Creekside Creekside Passive and you know, an ecology park. And then you can sort of see like what that footprint of what a larger sort of field would actually be and how much room it sort of takes up in on that footprint. And really that is that there's a lower bench that is relatively sort of clear, and that's where we're focusing any kind of sort of passive or intensive development is going to be down down in that area, and the rest of it we're just going to weave trails and create these moments of discovery back underneath the tree canopy.
So just real quick, so as Chris mentioned, so the red here is, just so we're all on the same page, this is the same size as the multi-purpose field at Cirque Park. Mm-hmm. And so essentially that could fit in that area, but it would be the only thing that could fit in the basically developable area of the park. So now the reason why there's a fair amount of emphasis and discussion about sports and athletic fields, as Chris mentioned, it was one of the initial thoughts when this property was acquired. There's also, just when looking around the city, there are not as many opportunities for open play fields or that type of thing in this part of town as compared to Bridgeport area west, where most of our parks are. Now, granted, this isn't super far away from Cirque Park, which obviously has our biggest sport field availability, but the rest of the city, we have, in addition to our parks, you have Chambers Bay, Chambers Bay property of the county that has a lot of open field space. You have all of our schools that have open field space, and all of those are essentially Bridgeport area west. So there was a concern that there's a deficiency, but then at each of the 5, I think you were at 5 public events, that they always had shown as options of, they'd have the display of what type of things do you want to see at this park, and they always had the sport field out there and what type of thing, and that consistently from the public comments rated pretty low. And so that's where it kind of guided to, and the other elements seem to outweigh those. And that's where it was still important to have a certain size of open field, so you could still go down there and kids could play Frisbee or something, but it may not be that full, some sort of more organized athletic play probably is not what at least the community had said they want to see out there so far.
And I think the last slide, what Jack is sort of noting earlier is, especially if we treat that sort of trail network as its own sort of recreation element, we can actually hang these, interpretive panels, these other sort of play elements, fitness elements, and as well as sort of art in a wide variety of sort of forms, manners, and functions, and create something that is very unique and would again sort of be this really strong complement to the entire University Place park system. And yes, with that.
And then talk a little bit about on the schedule, if you want to go back to the schedule sheet, but essentially, so where we're at, we have the draft plan adopted. Now, one of the things on the schedule here, it did get pushed a bit because the Park Commission had decided that originally we were trying to push for early in the year type of completion, but then it became kind of apparent that probably, Thanksgiving, Christmas time was not the best time to engage the public. And so SCJ is also working on our update of our pros plan. So the Park Commission had made the recommendation to let's shift that forward a little bit. So they've been working on that during the more wintry months. And now we're getting back to get that last there's one more in-person public meeting that we'll be holding to get some additional input. Kind of in the vein of we had that meeting when we did the Cirque Park effort. And so that one we want to schedule relatively soon in the spring here. But we're hoping to get comments from council to kind of do our tweaking of the draft plan to see get council's thoughts and things you'd like to see in there, as well as, and then we have an opportunity then to come back to Park Commission then, and then schedule the public meeting.
Awesome.
Jack, before we get into Q&A here, I do have just a couple of quick questions. One on the north side of Alameda on the Leech Creek open space. Who owns that property?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the Leech Creek open space, that's also city park property. Right now, it is kind of a small open field with, there's like a picnic table there. We do have ultimate plans. There's going to be some of our, there is some mitigation that we have to do, some wetland mitigation when we do that final piece of the roadway extension over the little wetland. So there'll be some habitat restoration that's happened there, but then ultimately we do have goals to expand nature trails in that area as well. But that's been separate from this effort right now.
You know, the reason why I ask that is I drive by that every day, and that area, the Creekside area, it is magical. When you're looking down into it, I mean, there's just so much down there to see. You got to stay focused versus, when you're driving. But it's also, I've noticed, it's almost like a major deer crossing, in that area. And that's why, we've talked oftentimes about why it's important to light that part of the road at night, because you just don't see them until they're right on top of you. But, is there any thought given, since you're looking at keeping this as natural as possible, and I applaud you for that. I just got all excited when you were talking about it, to maybe lay in some trails there for deer crossing, or some kind of a connection there, so that, if we're going to protect the habitat in there, that would be one that's fairly significant down in that area.
No, that's a wonderful suggestion. Whether that's in the form of something in the ground plane, or even just interpretive signage that identifies that there are deer that cross through this area and why.
So it's great. I know council's probably chomping at the bit with questions up here, but I love what you got going here. It's just amazing. So with that, questions from council. Council member Figueroa.
Thank you, Mayor. It's just a general comment, and that is that as we've experienced, and hopefully we'll get that done too, and that is at Homestead Park. We've talked a lot about the lighting and people be able to see through, and just the safety, I guess more safety, under the safety umbrella. And that goes for any park. As we start new here, a new landscape here, please, I don't have any recommendations, but I assume if you can just take to heart about the safety, which considers lighting, considers how you can see through things, whatever the case may be. In this particular situation, I think every park is different, will be a major concern. The other one is, of course, I guess it is a question, not a comment, and that is, how do you have, this will be under the same parks policies as far as being open and closed, right? Yeah. And so, I guess it gets back to the bigger umbrella is signage. I think that one of the things that is, as we talked about it, as we talk about Homestead brought back name, is what's the name of this park, or do we give it a better name? Like you said, Mayor, we need to revisit what does this really mean to their community, and then sign it correctly with this. Forget what you call it, but the information, the historic information about this, so people understand what they're about to step into. I think we need to start off in the right direction with this new area. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. This sounds very exciting and intriguing, and I'm sure Councilmember Wood would concur. We love the art features that are suggested, and we noticed that of the 4 highlighted groups, 3 of the 4 wanted some sort of art into it, and I like the idea about finding little surprises throughout the trail system, and I could imagine some wonderful art, in there, hidden little frog figurines surrounded, find X amount of frogs or whatever. And that just came to mind because I was just on a trail about 3 weeks ago, and somebody along the urban nature trail, I don't suggest nailing anything into trees, but they got the dollar store little lizards, and they placed lizards throughout this whole trail, and there was when we first noticed them and when we started counting them, there was over 50 of them. And so it got us, really looking at not only where we're walking, but we're trying to see where the little creatures were, and it created us a little more introspective on what our surroundings that we were walking through. So I think that would be a good use of art throughout the park. And the open space on both sides of the creek side, are we talking about the larger open space, or are we talking about both of them to extend additional trails throughout that area there?
So that's the ultimate plan. That's outside of this master planning effort.
Yeah.
But that we in the
So
long range we do have both to the north and to the west, plans to have some sort of nature trails.
Okay.
The western one does have some storm drain facilities in there as well, so we have some limitations. That one's probably going to be much more. They're both going to be pretty natural left, but I think we do. Ultimately, they're wonderful spaces that we want to be able to let residents enjoy in a more organized way than they do now.
Okay. Well, as we design this out, it's always good to keep that in back of our mind because we want them to feel connected and unified. And as the mayor suggested, we got to take care of the people crossing over too, with the signage and crosswalks. When that is in development, I know we're talking about this particular area of Creekside right now. I like the diversity of some of the minimal activities to include the children, because children love to go where there's playgrounds, and that will get them, interested in nature as they explore the trail system in there. So with that in mind, to encourage more children to go to the park for the playground features, to also encourage them to walk along and get in one with nature, and to appreciate nature and how to behave in nature and how to protect it. And so that's all my comments so far.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilmember Cunningham.
Well, mine's just a comment and just to affirm that you guys, great job, Chris and Juliana. I was part of this project before I came here to grace you all with my presence. It's a testament to just what the community wants. And I mean, we really thought about the field issue because we know that there's a shortage in our city, especially as the athletics start to come to more fruition of what we're trying to do. But we wouldn't even be able to have it at the full capacity that, we would have wanted it to be if we wanted a field here. So just so that you guys know that, if we were going to do a field, we would have wanted to have its full glory and the capacity to have a soccer game, a baseball game, and all the other activities that like Cirque Park can support. And then we were just really passionate about the fact that we want every park to have a level of uniqueness. Sunset's very different than Cirque. Cirque is very different from Colgate, So we wanted them all to continue that trend so that we have different varieties of parks that kids want to play at. So this more natural habitat, just driving by it now, just as you said, Mayor, it's very natural. And so we wanted to sort of keep that same vein of what that looked like. So that was the perspective that we all kind of looked at this through, just having variety and having one park not look like the other, having the playgrounds be very different from one another, and then the sizes of the parks are very different. So that was our passion behind that. And then the last thing I'll just add is that, it was really intentional, the surveying that we did with the community members. And we had very young ones telling us what they wanted, and then we had parents telling us what they wanted, and grandparents, and then people that just didn't have children at all, that just wanted to take part of the hiking and the trails and the opportunities that we could provide. So it was very intentional. The feedback was very strong. In fact, we watched the themes, we watched the trends, and every event drew a different crowd. So we leaned into that very intentionally. So I just wanted to attest to the work that the commission put into this. It seems like we were working on this forever. But what you see today is exactly just the thoughts that were a collective. So I just wanted to add to that, and thank you so much, because you have just stuck with us through all these holidays and all these events and all these things, cold, summer, winter, all the things. So thank you so much for sticking with us, and Juliana the same. You guys have been at every event with your renderings, and it's been great. And I'd like to think that this park, especially being on the other side and then being on this side, we really had lots of intentionality, and I can honestly say that we really took the consideration of the community in depth. And so that's what you see today, based on what the community is asking for and what we knew that was possible based on the size, the position, the safety, the perspective of all the things. So just so that you guys can know that, and I added that 2 cents. That's all I have, Mayor.
Much appreciated. Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. So, yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I did really appreciate the example art you put in here. I think that kind of contribution to this would be amazing. And before I go any further, I just also should say thank you for you, your team, the commission, and everybody who's put effort into this. Honestly, I think this is a wonderful plan overall. I really like where you're going with this. I love keeping the nature of it. I've been there a few times. And I appreciate how you're making it more accessible while at the same time preserving the natural feel of it. Having gone up and down that hill a couple times in the rain and nearly bit it, I'm glad there's going to be trails. So looking forward to that. Speaking of trail, what have you given thought to in the further development of this, running a trail along Leech Creek down to Kobayashi Park?
So ultimately, we do have a plan. There's the goal to have our trail network connected all the way from Kobayashi up through basically up to where we end, I guess, up by Woodside?
Yes, Woodside.
Woodside Creek Park. Challenges are topography, but that is ultimately our goal, is to eventually have some sort of trail network. We had in the previous pros plan, I think we even talked about possible maybe bridges crossing things here, which could be in the works. One of the challenges specifically here, so like we don't really have any trails specifically that would get down to the water, so it's different than like Kobayashi. Here, it's probably hard to tell, but there's a lot of really close white lines as you go from the trail down to the Blue Creek, and that just shows our contours. So it's very, very steep. And right. So this park won't have an opportunity to be right down to the creek, but our goal would be to have that trail connection. I think we have easements or property owned outright for all, but it's like just a few hundred feet of property that we do not have for that whole corridor, which is exciting. But things to come.
Right.
The next things to plan for. But yeah, it's definitely exciting opportunities.
Then, so my last question, then, really quick. So, I really am a big fan of you completing that road to push out to Cirque, because it's kind of very roundabout to get there right now. I'm assuming that road doesn't have to wait on the park plan or park funding. We can actually just do the road. And is there a plan to do the road, or is it on the tip? Where are we at with that?
Yes. So we are in the process of. We were hoping to have added that to our current sewer project that we built because that is part of the overall application and what we needed to get through there. We ran into a little hiccup from the environmental standpoint. We had done we felt our due diligence. We met with ecology, fisheries, Army Corps out there. They were all on board what we need to do a relatively modest culvert crossing mitigation plan. They're all on board. And then we were moving forward to try to hit, actually do the road this past October. Unfortunately, then when the Army Corps said, oh yeah, but by the way, we now need to get National Marine and Fisheries Service. Now there's a new rule that they have to review it. Which they're going to look at the other agency and say, oh, you think it's okay, we like it too. But it takes them a year to be able to say that. I may be a little glib in that. They probably look at it a little more hard than that. But it's a little frustrating because I think that's it's a new step that we haven't had to do in the past. It used to be the authority was always granted to those other three agencies to be able to look for that. And just the extent of the wetland we're crossing is there's a small stream, and there is a small stream that literally does not exist 100 feet upstream of it. So it is the beginning of a stream, but it is a stream. It's about 4 feet wide at the time that we have to cross it. But we expect to have the approval at least by this time next year, so we hope to be building the road next year. We are pretty soon, they will be doing, we actually are pretty in the next, probably in the next month or so, weather permitting, our sewer contractor will be actually doing the portion of the work to tie into the sewer main and run the stub outside the roadway. So all of our roadway work in Cirque will be done, and it'll just be this, basically this section of, about this section of road that we need to build, and a very small culvert just right there. So, it's been a little venting of frustration on my part there, but it's healthy, I think. Yeah, we should be there by hopefully this time next year.
Awesome. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor. I heard the term passive ecology park. Is that an official designation, or is that something that you can give me a little bit more insight on either way?
I mean, it's
passive ecology park.
Sure, it's not a traditional sort of parks classification, but I think it's the best way to sort of describe the intentions of the park as itself.
I'm hearing a fairly low intensity in terms of what it is that I guess overall the survey suggested in terms of people feeling like what they want. If you compare that intensity to a more progressive, active park in City of University Place, is that the intention by passive ecology park in your view?
Yes, sir. It's really just this keeping the restraint on making sure that the development within the park doesn't overwhelm what's the spirit of the park as it stands right now.
Okay, thank you. I thought it might be more along the lines of the development impact, and I was just trying to make sure if that was something I was inviting, or was something that was really intentional as a result of the survey that was so well done as I've heard. I wanted to follow up regarding Councilmember Figueroa's question around safety. At the end of the day, it is a park, and so is there anything that, with the expectation of the passive ecology park expectation of mitigating the development notwithstanding, is there anything that you see from a safety standpoint that we might want to consider that we haven't let me say it differently, that we would expect to implement from a safety standpoint, given that we would have this to remain more of a natural park space, if you will?
No, that's an excellent question because, obviously with the control of the park and keeping people out at night, that's always going to be a challenge, not without gating off every square foot of the perimeter of the park. There are some sort of security things we can address like during design and so if somebody is like for example, we've seen this, I've done this in other communities with, parks at night. If there is activity, with people, that there are some lights that automatically, they're motion sensing lights. And, but and then that way that'll sort of protect people. The one in the what's great about the existing canopy out there right now is that the understory is actually it's not incredibly dense, so you can actually sort of see through it. And we did have our arborists go out, take a look. We did a tree risk assessment. We identified some trees that that were diseased that would have to be sort of addressed with this. But for the most part, it's not like the understory underneath those trees is like 10 feet tall. You can actually see quite a ways through there. So and that's the biggest challenge, just making sure that the sight lines, is when you're in the park, you've got easy sort of visual access. And then obviously working with the police department and crime prevention through environmental design and making sure that all these little these safety and awareness mechanisms are well thought out.
Okay. My last question, Mayor, and this is for Mr. Eklund. You made mention of wetland mitigation consideration. Can you expand on that for me, please? I thought there was an aspect that you pointed out, and the interpretation was that it was either cost prohibitive, or just wasn't worth the return on it. Can you expound on that for me, please?
Yeah, so when we go past the little blue line, the more so typically in the buffer type of areas, trails are allowed, and you don't have to do significant mitigation. If you are doing more significant earthwork or land disturbance in the buffer areas, you have to there's an impact to the ecology, and so you have to do some sort of either compensatory mitigation, where you would have to basically take up space someplace else, which is some of what we're doing with the roadway, which across the way on the Leech Creek on the other side of Cirque, there's a fair amount of area that lends itself well to that, because there's some areas with invasive species and various things that we can mitigate. This area here is less available for that. You could do some densification of some of the plantings, although it's pretty well established, and then some of the things we don't want to do too many things that prohibit our use of the rest of the area. So it's kind of a combination of where we can impact it, or where we can mitigate it, whether it's across the street or somewhere else, and then also trying to minimize the footprint overall to the ecology and the environment in the area.
Okay, I appreciate it. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before I go to Councilmember Grassi, when I was listening to the conversation about security, because there's so many twists and turns along the pathway, I've seen in other parks where they have these emergency stations, I guess, for lack of a better term, that in case of an emergency, you pull on it and it sets off a blue light and an alarm, or there's a call box that you can call for help. I think that's something, especially I think about women on the trails these days, and there's a lot of canopy down there of just safety and security, of thinking along those lines of having that safety down there. I also just wanted to say I really, really, really appreciate the ADA consideration, because I've developed a whole new appreciation for that, for one. But I think for those citizens who are ADA challenged, having a park where they can go that is as beautiful as this one is going to be is pretty awesome. So with that said, Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for being here this evening, and thank you for your work on this. I wanted to echo Councilmember Figueroa and others. I have lighting in big words here on my notes as one of my first points. It's like I just lighting, and security, and I love the mayor's addition of the call boxes and different things. I think security is going to be a huge asset to this feature, and also an enhancement of the art pieces. I think lighting can also play a huge role in enhancing the art throughout. As has been mentioned, it excites me about the idea of having art pieces throughout this park, and I love the direction that the commission went with keeping it a natural play, and thank you to our commissioners for their hard work on this. I think that is the right decision as far as athletic fields. I understand keeping the feel of this park, I think, is going to be really special. I just have a couple of questions. When the target age group, when we're talking about play and what you've heard, what is the target age group of the play areas?
Yeah, it's generally 5 to 12.
Okay. And capacity that we're aiming for, max capacity for the park as far as parking spaces, the open green space, that shelter, when you envision this at max capacity, how many people are we thinking?
I think max capacity is sort of driven by parking and making sure we've got easy access. But 50 or 60
max at one time. 60 cars or 60 people?
No, I think 50 or 60 people at. I think at some point, if you get a mass crush of people, then you start to. It becomes more about the people moving through the space rather than sort of experiencing it. And especially along the trails, we're trying to sort of create these moments where you can pull off to the side and have your own sort of quiet moment in nature. And if we've got hundreds of people going through there at any one time, I think that could potentially sort of detract from the experience.
So when we're talking about that open green space, I just want to make sure, and a shelter and parking, we're really only talking about parking for about 25 cars max and 50 people on that open space? I just want to make sure I'm understanding, because I was envisioning something larger.
Right now, there's more spaces than that, and I think, I think it could accommodate more than 50 or 60 people.
Yes.
I think in a given feature. I think the intent you might have in the play area. If you think about Cert Park at our inclusive playground, we have I've seen probably 20 or 30 kids there at one time playing. Right?
At least. So, I go there at least once a week, and that's in the winter, I would say there's a good 75 kids. I'm just surprised. That surprises me. That seems.
I think the 50 or 60 Chris is thinking. I think it's more like how many people are doing the trail at one time, or how many people are enjoying the playground, but different features, so not necessarily.
I guess I'm just trying to get an idea, I'm sorry if I'm how the open green space, because you did say a shelter was going to be a kind of a band shelter at the end there. Is that what I'm seeing too? Like a canopy shelter?
Just like a shade pavilion.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So on that green space, just for point of reference, you're thinking max people, how many in there could fit?
Well, you want to put back the kind of the visual of where we are at Cert Park.
Okay.
So this would be the same area, so you can kind of envision how many people could be here. You could have 100 people there or so. It's although depending what you're doing, right? If it's a gathering of a family or something, you could have, or a party or something, you could have a fair amount. If there are a bunch of kids playing frisbee, there's not as much space, maybe it's less, So, but it has an ability to, having a big wide open, you have some ability for maybe a bigger gathering or more active things. So I think there's flexibility in it as well.
And parking right now is at about how many spaces?
Looked like there's about 30 up top, and was it 10 down below?
About 10 below.
So about 40 total parking spaces right now. I also just wanted to speak to the inclusive playground, or I think you said the word, some inclusive play opportunity. I know, having the privilege to speak at the ribbon cutting for our inclusive playground, one of the challenges from our community that worked so hard to bring that together was the challenge that was, this would not be, a standalone. The inclusive play would now be the norm in University Place. And so I really challenge us to create a play area that is not just unique to Cirque, but that as we develop a new play, that we can also be proud to say this is also inclusive as well and play. And I love the idea of the nature play. I love how it feels natural into the space. But instead of just having pieces, I would really challenge us to think that this would be the norm for our community, that we would always have our next build be inclusive as much as possible. That was really meaningful to me to hear that, and I think it's a challenge worth taking on for our community. So I really want us to be thoughtful about as we're thinking about the playground there. The art pieces, I'm excited about those. I would love, as we move along, to have those incorporated with the city, meaningful. A duck, and incorporate the historical society and things that really make sense thematically to University Place. I think it could be such a lovely addition. I also think, and I know I mentioned this maybe to Jack, but this I think is a prime opportunity for a partnership either with Green Trike, with the Science and Math Institute, CME High School. They have right now, Science and Math Institute, they have an outpost right now, a school classroom at Owens Beach, on Owens Beach. They have their 24/7 school on the zoo property. I think this is as we talk about passive ecology, I think this is a wonderful opportunity to have a place of engagement with students and to bring one of those partners alongside to be a part of this. I think that would be a great opportunity for students and enhance our community. We don't have anything like that yet in the city where we really can partner with a school, that's already engaged in it, and having their, they are out there at Owens Beach. The students are, doing the work and studying that ecosystem. They're at the zoo. This could be a great opportunity to partner with them. So I just hope that we could look at that. And I think I also agree with Councilmember Figueroa with the name. I think this is a great opportunity. If Creekside is the best name going forward, or if there is something that feels more historically apropos for our city that can work in with the feel of this park. But I'm excited about the creativity that this can bring and the unique setting that it's in. So again, thank you for your work. Thank you to the Commission for their work. I hope that we are really looking at, though, the capacity and if this is serving as many people as possible in an inclusive way. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Just real quick, we'll make sure that we can do probably a quick capacity analysis of it, so we'll get those numbers back for you. What really will be the...
Thank you.
That's just what I wrote down.
Chris, we do have more questions for you. Before you do that, how many miles of trail do you figure you'll have if this is built as is right now?
Well, we calculated about 3,000.
3,000 miles?
No, 3,000 lineal feet. So, yeah.
Not even a mile. It's not even a mile, so you could do it.
Yeah. I like it.
No, and I think there's opportunities we can actually integrate some art for some of those distant placements and actually doing it in, we did a discovery trail in Elma that had multiple languages and different sight words that we actually engaged with the local school district to make sure that was part of the signage and wayfinding along the trail. And this isn't one of those opportunities where we can do just that.
Awesome. Right. Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you, Mayor. In regards to parking, is there any thought behind, I don't know what you call it, but to lock up and park your bikes, your e-bikes or bikes, regular bikes, where people can bike there and park them and lock them up?
We certainly could add. That could be accommodated.
Because I think that should be, especially, it'd be great to encourage people to bike there versus parking their car there. And we're talking about the size of this and trails and all that. So, Jack, Mr. Eklund, compared to Homestead Park, how does this compare in size?
It's much larger overall.
Okay.
So this is about 15 acres, and I think Homestead Park is around 5 acres, I think. Chris, you might actually have that since you've been working on the pros plan, but I think that's the scale. But Homestead has more usable spaces.
No, okay, it gives me an idea at least.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm really excited about this and appreciate all the work that has been done with the commission and your team as well. It's a very thoughtful process, and it's coming to fruition in a very nice way that the community will enjoy and what the community is looking forward to having. It also, as the mayor reminded me, it's health in all policies, which would include what Councilmember Grassi was incorporating, that health in all policies is inclusive of everybody, at every, if they're mobility challenged or whatever capacity that they happen to be able to come to the park with. I also am intrigued by Councilmember Figueroa's idea of allowing e-bikes and bike racks to come. And one of the challenges with e-bikes is they need to be recharged. They have recharging stations for e-bikes. They could be a novelty, but I know there's certain limitations for e-bikes. And so if they could be recharged at a location, that would give them an additional capacity to go the distance back and forth. So this kind of an interesting idea. And Councilmember Grassi with the idea of SAMI, there is a school at Snake Lake. It's an exclusively outdoor school. So they don't have a building. So they're out there in the outdoors, and of course, I'm sure if it's raining, they have the opportunity to go into the building. But primarily, 80% of the time, they're outdoors, you know, in the chilly weather and the warmer weather, exploring nature and not only learning about the environment, but about their ABCs as well. So that could be we like to have unique places to go in University Place. At Morrison Pond, Adriana Hess, we have the Audubon Society. So it would kind of make sense to have something like that offered, and hopefully maybe a school of that nature might be interested in expanding out to Creekside. And I also like a nod to the Native Americans along the Leech Creek. You know, there's salmon that runs along there, and some of that historical history and appreciation of the land, especially if we're to keep it wild and as close to nature as we can. You know, everything changes over time, so it's not like it has been, and it's evolving, but to appreciate the present moment there and the wild nature that it is, as we have tried to keep Kobayashi and creating a symbiotic relationship between the people and the animals in nature that go there. So maybe some species identification signs, you know, the typical species and birds that people will be able to see, and they often wonder what they are. Even though they have a smartphone in their hand, they may not be inclined to look it up. They'll just go right by it, and so they'll miss something that could be pretty unique, that could be noted to them. You know, it's not just a pine tree. And Mr. Eklund, when I was first on the Park Commission way back when, Mr. Swindell was talking about the necklace of trails. And in that was the vision of creating trails from Kobayashi, from sidewalks, you know, to trails. And it worked its way all the way around to Morrison Pond. And And so because of your comment earlier that there was a barrier there, if the council could get updated on that visioning and the barriers and how
The last
maybe
piece,
realistic
the parcel,
that
yeah.
first idea was, a few decades ago, and where we're at now with kind of that visioning and the possibilities of that, because it would be really cool to have a walking trail system from Kobayashi all the way to Morrison Pond.
Yeah, I definitely can get you. I'll get an exhibit of which of the properties we have control over, where are our gaps. But it's definitely would be.
Yeah, because the Puyallup Trail, I don't know if you've ever been out there, but they go through salmon habitat, fisheries, urban trails, sidewalks, and traverses over back onto the back end of that. And so it's quite the extensive loop, and it even goes through a community garden area. So, it doesn't have to be the vision of a trail. It could be incorporated into different facets of a trail with proper signage.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
All right, I think that's all the folks we have with questions tonight. I just want to kind of sum up and just say thank you again for a great presentation. This is a great project that I believe the community is going to be extremely proud of. And honestly, I don't think we can wait to get this project started. I'd love to do it tomorrow if we could on there. I do want to make a comment about the trails. That's been a vision of the cities at least for over 20-some years. And when I look at other communities that I've had involvement with, like Gig Harbor in Pierce County, each of those entities have had trails. They had visions of connecting their trails, and they started doing a trail at a time to where they've now connected their trails. And maybe it's time here in University Place that we take the trails that we have, and we've got some pretty nice trails, and start connecting those. And you've got to start somewhere, find a good place to start, and then over time, hopefully we'll have the entire city connected where folks can enjoy during the good weathers to hike in the open space that we have here in the city. And it can go anywhere. Those trails could even parallel some of our roads, but stay mostly in those what do you call them, the green spaces that we have here in the community. So again, thanks for a great presentation, and like I said, we can't wait to get this one going. Okay, with that, having no other business to discuss tonight before council, I would declare this meeting adjourned.